The story of the Turkish presence in the Balkans is a forgotten chapter of European history. Once a dominant population in many regions, Turks in the Balkans were systematically expelled, assimilated, or massacred over the course of the 19th and 20th centuries. Today, few know that millions of Turks once called the Balkans their home. But how did this centuries-old community disappear so completely? Turkish presence in the Balkans began in the 14th century with the expansion of the Ottoman Empire into Europe. Starting with the Battle of Maritsa in 1371 and the conquest of Kosovo in 1389, the Ottomans moved swiftly through the region. By the 15th century, much of the Balkans, including modern-day Greece, Bulgaria, Albania, North Macedonia, Serbia, and Bosnia, were under Ottoman rule. Turks settled in newly established cities and strategic towns, often forming the urban administrative and military elite. They built mosques, schools, bridges, and markets, transforming the cultural landscape. While local Christians and Jews were granted religious autonomy under the millet system, many native people also converted to Islam over time, either for social advancement or out of genuine conviction. By the 17th century, millions of Muslims, including both ethnic Turks and Islamized Slavs, Albanians, and others, lived across the Balkans. In cities like Sofia, Plovdiv, Thessaloniki, Skopje, Sarajevo, and Bitola, Turkish was widely spoken. The Turkish cultural and architectural imprint was everywhere. The 19th century brought major changes. As the Ottoman Empire weakened, a wave of European nationalism surged across the Balkans. Inspired by the Enlightenment and driven by resentment toward Ottoman rule, Balkan Christian populations began to demand independence. However, this wasn't just a struggle for self-rule. It quickly turned into a campaign of ethnic and religious cleansing. The Greek War of Independence was one of the first turning points. Thousands of Muslim civilians, including Turks and Albanian Muslims, were massacred by Greek rebels. The retaliation by Ottoman forces was equally brutal. But it set the precedent. Independence would come through violence against Muslims, who were seen not only as foreigners but also as collaborators of imperial rule. As Serbia in 1815, Bulgaria in 1878, Romania in 1877, and other Balkan states gained autonomy or independence, Muslims became targeted minorities. The new nation-states were built on ethno-religious identity, meaning that Turks and Muslims more broadly had no place in them. The most catastrophic event for the Turkish population in the Balkans was the Russo-Turkish War of 1877 to 1878. In just a few years, over 1.5 million Muslims, mostly Turks, were expelled or fled from Bulgaria and other territories that became independent or semi-independent. Entire villages were burned. Civilians were massacred. This was one of the largest forced migrations in European history, yet it remains largely unknown outside of Turkish circles. In Bulgaria alone, the Muslim population dropped from about 40% to less than 20% in just a few years. The Bulgarian national hero Vasil Levski, revered today, openly called for a Bulgaria without Turks. Similar sentiments echoed in Serbia and Greece. This trend continued into the 20th century. After the Balkan Wars in 1912 and 1913, more than 400,000 Turks and other Muslims were expelled. Greece, Bulgaria, Serbia, and Montenegro targeted Muslims in an effort to create ethnically pure Christian nations. The final blow came with the Treaty of Lausanne in 1923, which formalized a massive population exchange between Greece and Turkey. Around 1.5 million Anatolian Greeks were sent to Greece, while nearly 500,000 Muslims, most of them ethnic Turks from Greece, were sent to Turkey. This exchange was legal, but it was forced. Many families lost everything. Centuries-old communities vanished overnight. After the Second World War, much of the Balkans came under communist rule. While open violence subsided, assimilation policies continued. In Yugoslavia, the Turkish population in Kosovo and Macedonia faced pressure to identify as Muslim Slavs or Albanians. Thousands emigrated to Turkey in the 1950s and 1960s under silent agreements between Belgrade and Ankara. But the harshest policies came from communist Bulgaria, under Todor Zhivkov. In the 1980s, the government launched the revival process, a campaign to force Turks to adopt Slavic names, ban the Turkish language, and erase Islamic traditions. Resistance was brutally suppressed. In 1989, in what is known as the largest forced migration in Europe since World War II, over 300,000 Bulgarian Turks fled to Turkey. Today, only a fraction of the once flourishing Turkish population remains in the Balkans. Bulgaria has the largest Turkish minority, around 8 to 9% of the population. Despite recognition and some political representation, they face ongoing social discrimination and economic marginalization. In Greece, a small Muslim Turkish minority remains in Western Thrace. They are officially labeled as Muslim Greeks and denied recognition as an ethnic minority, a violation of international treaties. Their schools, mosques, and cultural institutions face constant pressure. In North Macedonia and Kosovo, small Turkish communities still exist, but their influence is limited. Turkish is a recognized minority language in some areas, and there are Turkish language schools and media outlets, but the population is aging and declining. Bosnia, Albania, and Romania also have small Turkish communities, but many have assimilated or emigrated over time. In total, there are likely fewer than 1 million ethnic Turks remaining in the Balkans today, down from millions just a century ago. This history is not just about the past. It's about how nations are formed, how identities are erased, and how communities can disappear silently while the world looks away. Turks in the Balkans were not colonial settlers in the modern sense. They were part of the fabric of these lands for centuries. They built cities, cultivated lands, contributed to music, cuisine, and architecture. Yet they were demonized, dehumanized, and ultimately erased through ethnic cleansing and forced migration. What makes this even more tragic is the silence. While the tragedies of other peoples in the Balkans are widely recognized, the suffering of Turks and other Muslims remains taboo, often ignored in official histories and European discourse. Acknowledging this history is not about rekindling old hostilities. It's about truth. For reconciliation to happen in the Balkans, all sides must confront the past honestly. This includes recognizing that Turks were victims too, not just rulers. It includes understanding that nationalism, when mixed with ethnic hatred, leads to unspeakable tragedies. And it includes protecting the rights of remaining Turkish communities, who still face prejudice today. The story of the Turks in the Balkans is a story of loss, survival, and resilience. It deserves to be told, not just in Turkey but across Europe and the world.